The WNBA has just experienced what might be the most explosive 48-hour stretch in the history of women's professional basketball, and that's not an exaggeration. Supermax contracts are being handed out, legendary players are returning home, million-dollar backcourts are forming, and major stars are on the move. Right at the center of it all, the Indiana Fever have secured what could become the most dangerous backcourt in the league. Kelsey Mitchell is officially back on a $1.4 million deal, making her the first player in franchise history to cross the $1 million mark, and somehow, she's not even the biggest headline. That's how wild this free agency period has been. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to WNBA Pro. Today we're breaking down the entire free agency frenzy, every major move, every blockbuster signing, and every deal that could reshape the league. I'll also be diving into which teams dominated the offseason, and which ones may have made serious mistakes. Let's get into it.
The free agency negotiation period has come and gone, and now we're in full throttle, finally. Kelsey Mitchell will be returning to the Fever as she has been offered the Supermax. Azurá Stevens will not be returning to the Los Angeles.
Let's start with the move that matters most here. Kelsey Mitchell has officially signed a one-year Supermax deal with the Indiana Fever worth $1.4 million, and that number is historic. She becomes the first player in franchise history to cross the $1 million mark, jumping from $250,000 last season to $1.4 million now. That's a staggering 560% raise, and she earned every bit of it. In case anyone needs a reminder, Mitchell was dominant last season. She averaged 20.2 points per game, led the league with 111 made three-pointers, earned first-team All-WNBA honors for the first time in her career, and finished fifth in MVP voting. She played every single game despite her team being hit hard by injuries. Then in the playoffs, she elevated even further, averaging 22.3 points per game and dropping 34 in Game 1 of the semifinals against the Aces. Just 2 weeks ago, Caitlin Clark made it clear on national television, re-signing Mitchell was a top priority. She called her my running mate in the backcourt and emphasized how much easier she makes the game. The Fever listened. The deal is done. And now, arguably the most lethal backcourt in women's basketball is officially back together. But here's the part flying under the radar. This is the final year Indiana can use a core designation on Mitchell. Starting in 2027, players with 7 or more years of service can't be called, which means she'll become a true unrestricted free agent after this season. The Fever now have 1 year, one shot, to prove this is where she belongs long-term. 1 year to contend, 1 year to win. And Mitchell knows it. Clark also made another statement that should put the entire league on notice. She said, "We were trying to win it all last season. That's what we're trying to do this year. I think we're going to be the favorite." That's not optimism, that's a warning. And with Mitchell locked in, it just became very real. Now here's where things get even more interesting. While Indiana secured its core, the rest of the league has been busy reshuffling, and not every move is going to age well. Some of these decisions could backfire in a big way. But before we get into that, let's talk about the second biggest bombshell of the day.
Export on this video when a bomb dropped, and it is that Kelsey Mitchell has signed a 1-year contract with the Indiana Fever. Okay, so later on in my video, I'm going to say the biggest news is
Nneka Ogwumike is going home. The 10-time All-Star, 2016 MVP, and president of the Women's National Basketball Players Association, who helped negotiate the very CBA driving this free agency explosion, is returning to the Los Angeles Sparks. After 2 seasons with the Seattle Storm, she's heading back to the franchise that drafted her #1 overall in 2012, and it's a massive, franchise-shifting move. At 35, Ogwumike is still playing at an elite level. Last season, she averaged 18.3 points, 7 rebounds, and 2.3 assists while shooting 51.9% from the field and 36.7% from 3, numbers that easily stack up with any All-Star in the league. Now she joins the Sparks roster featuring Kelsey Plum, Cameron Brink, and Nneka Ogwumike. On paper, that's a serious lineup. Plum running the point, Brink anchoring the paint, Ogwumike at the 4, and Ogwumike bringing leadership and versatility. That group has real playoff potential and could even push into contender status with a few more additions. The Sparks haven't made the postseason since 2020, but that drought may be coming to an end. Ogwumike signaled the emotional weight of her return with a social media post showing the Hollywood sign transforming into her name, captioned, "It was always, see you later. Now I'll see you soon." She also handled her exit from Seattle with total professionalism, sharing a heartfelt thank you message. No drama, no controversy, just class, exactly what you'd expect from a union leader. And Los Angeles might not be finished yet. Reports suggest they're in discussions with the Chicago Sky about a potential deal involving Rickea Jackson and Ariel Atkins. If that move happens, this roster could be completely transformed, jumping from a lottery team to a legitimate playoff threat in a single offseason. The Western Conference just got a whole lot more interesting, and the dominoes are still falling.
JJ is going back, and it is no surprise to me at all that Kelsey is going back. Caitlin Clark said she was the #1 priority on a broadcast. There is no other better big three, better backcourt than Kelsey, Caitlin, and the big three being Kelsey, Caitlin, and AB. The only thing I'm a little surprised.
The hits just keep coming. Jackie Young has agreed to a 1-year max deal worth $1.19 million, making her one of the first 7-figure players in WNBA history. Pair that with Adja Wilson confirming she's staying and Chelsea Gray still in place, and the Las Vegas Aces have officially kept their championship core intact. This is a team that just won it all, taking down the Fever in 5 games in the semifinals and sweeping the Mercury in the finals, and now they're running it back with even bigger contracts and even more motivation. The defending champs aren't going anywhere. At the same time, the Toronto Tempo just made a statement no one saw coming. They've signed Marina Mabrey and Brittany Sykes to 2-year max deals worth over $1 million annually. That's $1 million backcoat for an expansion franchise. In year 1, they're not easing into the league. They're going all in, with head coach Sandy Brondolo leading the charge after leaving New York. This is a team that could compete right away. The Dallas Wings also made a move that raised some eyebrows, trading Diamond Miller to the Connecticut Sun for Tyesha Harris in what looks like a cap-clearing decision. Why? Because they are preparing for the future. Dallas holds the #1 overall pick, and all signs point to Paige Buchers. If they draft her and pair her with a Reich Algunbowl, who just received a core qualifying offer, the Wings could suddenly have one of the most electric backcourts in the league. Meanwhile, the New York Liberty are staying the course. Brianna Stewart made it clear she's not part of the free agency chaos, and both she and Sabrina Ionescu are locked in to return. Jonquil Jones is expected back as well. After winning the 2024 championship, the Liberty are aiming to build a dynasty, even with a coaching change as Chris Mark takes over for Sandy Brondolo. The big question is whether that championship culture holds steady. Over in Minnesota, the Lynx made the expected move by courting Nafisa Collier, but they may be on the verge of losing key contributors. Alana Smith is exploring free agency, and Atisha Heitman all but signaled her exit with a farewell post. If both players leave, Minnesota's league best defense could take a serious hit. And here's where things circle back to Indiana. The Fever have a clear need, rim protection and floor spacing. Alana Smith checks both boxes. A co-defensive player of the year who can stretch the floor is exactly what this roster is missing. If Indiana is serious about contending, that's a call they need to be making right now. Now, let's zoom out and connect all the dots, because the bigger picture is where this gets really interesting.
Posted on my Twitter that this could just be a meeting. People doubted me, but look what happened. Because Nneka Ogwumike is signing with the Los Angeles Sparks, a team that she spent a lot of time with. She was there from 12 seasons up until 2023, so she hasn't been gone that long. She won a championship with them in 2016. She was the MVP, and though she has been in the league for quite a while, Nneka Ogwumike is still a strong player. And the Sparks are definitely in win now mode. They have Kelsey Plum to lead that team.
What we're witnessing right now might be the most transformative free agency period in WNBA history. The new CBA has completely reshaped the league's economics, raising the salary cap from $1.5 million to $7 million and boosting player salaries by nearly 400%. Teams now have real spending power, players have real leverage, and the result is a massive reshuffling of talent that's redefining the entire competitive landscape. But not every team is navigating this moment the right way. Let's break down the biggest winners and losers so far. The Indiana Fever are clear winners. Locking in Kelsey Mitchell on a Supermax deal was a priority, and they got it done. With Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, and their young core under contract, Plus, Lexa Hull is a restricted free agent likely to stay. This is a team operating with a clear vision. Add in expected returns like Sophie Cunningham, available cap space, and a top 10 draft pick, and Indiana looks calculated, aggressive, and fully in control of its future. The Las Vegas Aces are also winners. The defending champions are bringing back A'ja Wilson, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray, the core that just won it all. They have continuity, elite talent, and arguably the best player in the world in Wilson. Until someone proves otherwise, they remain the team to beat. The Los Angeles Sparks make the list as well. Bringing Nneka Ogwumike back is a franchise-shifting move. If they manage to complete a deal for Ariel Atkins, this roster could go from rebuilding to playoff contention almost overnight. The Western Conference just gained a serious threat. Another big winner, the Atlanta Dream. They pulled off a major move by acquiring Angel Reese for 2 mid-first round picks, adding one of the league's most dominant rebounders to an already strong team. After a 30-14 season, Atlanta wasn't just good. They are now knocking on the door of greatness. On the other side, the Chicago Sky are trending in the wrong direction. Losing Reese and potentially Ariel Atkins signals instability, and the ongoing organizational issues continue to raise concerns. Until there's a real shift behind the scenes, it's hard to see things improving. The Seattle Storm also fall into the loser category. For now, losing Nneka Ogwumike, moving on from head coach Noel Quinn, and potentially watching more key players walk out the door points to a full-scale rebuild. This could be a long reset period for Seattle. Then there's the middle tier, teams like the Minnesota Lynx, Connecticut Sun, Phoenix Mercury, and Golden State Valkyries. These are franchises still in motion, still making decisions that could push them toward contention or send them sliding backward depending on how the next few days unfold. And that's the key. This isn't over. Free agency is still active. The draft is right around the corner. Training camp opens April 19th, and the season tips off May 8th. There are still plenty of moves left that could shift the balance of power even further.
But let's move on to the Chicago Sky, because after the Angel Reese trade, the Chicago Sky fans were just in utter disarray. It was depressing. There was nothing going on, and everyone was thinking that Jeff Pagliuca was the dumbest GM in the history of GMs. And I did mention I did not think that this was the end of it, because they did save a lot of their...
But let's bring it back to Indiana, because on WNBA Pro, the Fever are always a main event. Right now, the roster is taking shape in a very real way. Caitlin Clark is under contract. Aliyah Boston is locked in. Alyssa Smith remains a key piece. And Kelsey Mitchell is now secured on a $1.4 million Supermax deal. Lexi Hull is a restricted free agent expected to return, and Sophie Cunningham is an unrestricted free agent with mutual interest in getting a deal done as soon as signings open. That's 6 players either confirmed or likely back. 6 players who just made a deep semifinal run. This is a group that already has chemistry, already understands the pressure, and already knows what it feels like to be right on the edge of the finals. That kind of experience matters. Now, the focus shift to filling out the rest of the roster. Indiana still needs a power forward who can protect the rim and stretch the floor, a reliable backup point guard, and experienced veteran depth. The good news? They got roughly $3.6 million in cap space to work with, plus the number 10 pick in the draft. Keep an eye on names like Alana Smith, Aljura Stevens, and Kennedy Burke. All 3 are unrestricted free agents who fit exactly what this team needs. Any one of them could elevate Indiana from a contender to a favorite. If they land Smith in particular, you could make a strong case this becomes the best roster in the entire league, even without another major signing. Though, the Fever are already operating at an elite level. Clark and Mitchell form arguably the best backcourt in women's basketball. Boston is a top-tier star. Hull brings elite perimeter defense, and Cunningham adds toughness and edge. And don't overlook head coach Stephanie White, who guided this team to a Game 5 semifinal despite major injuries. Across the league, the arms race is in full swing. The Aces are reloading. The Liberty are staying steady. The Dream added Angel Reese. The Sparks brought back Nneka Ogwumike. The Tempo are spending aggressively like a seasoned franchise. And right in the middle of it all are the Fever, with one of the most talented young cores in the sport and one of the most driven superstars leading the charge. This upcoming season has all the makings of something special. More talent, more money, more attention, and more pressure than ever before. And when it all comes down to it, When the confetti falls in October, there's a real belief that Indiana could be the team standing at the top. A team built on chemistry, culture, and the electric presence of Caitlin Clark. The Fever didn't just win today. They may have laid the foundation for a championship. That's it for today on WNBA Pro. This was a marathon breakdown, but we covered it all, every major move, every key signing, every shift in power across the league. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, drop your top 5 teams in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.